All right, greetings everyone. Thanks for joining today. This is a session that you're in is about the Prodigy for Windows software from Humanware. I'm Roger Steinberg, the product manager for our low vision solutions here at Humanware. And today's session is going to cover what's new in version 1.6 of Prodigy for Windows. There is a poll that is open right now. So if you could quickly answer that, it'll help me frame how I go through the presentation here. Right now, it looks like the first question is, what is your role? Teacher, rehab counselor, doctor, clinician, parent, or caregiver, individual, low vision, or other. So if you could select what fits you. And then the second question is, how much do you know about Prodigy? Nothing, a little, some, a lot, or I'm an expert. If you could complete those as well, that will help me to frame how I go through the presentation today. I see we got 8 on the meeting so far. Also, the chat is open, and I'm pretty open about taking questions. So send them through the chat function or the Q&A function, or come off of mute if you would like. Raise your hand, whatever, and I'll try to answer questions as I go along. So that opening poll is there right now. Again, let's go ahead and slide forward, and I'll cut the poll off after we get started here. But again, today we're going to be probably giving you a brief overview of what Prodigy for Windows is, since we have a few that only know a little bit about the software. But then we will also highlight some of what's new with this release, both in the software as well as with the product set. So again, thanks for joining today. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. It looks like we don't have any more answers, but I see a little there. So is the primary level of knowledge. So I'll go forward from there, ending the poll, and you can see the results now for everyone, hopefully. We'll stop sharing that very quickly and go into the presentation here now. So again, let me move forward here. And again, I'll do a brief overview of what Prodigy is all about. Should be about 10 minutes or so. And then we'll dive into demonstration and showing what's new in the software. But I want to start off with, why did we develop Prodigy? What's it all about, and so forth. And as the slide says, the challenge that we're trying to address is accessing information where people with low vision, could be printed documents, digital files, mail forms, other work materials that they're trying to get at. But also, many of these tasks require switching between paper and digital content, and that can slow people down and cause visual fatigue, both of which are, certainly important. I know we have a couple with vocational rehabilitation counselors on the call here. We want people to be able to get as much done as possible in as short a time as possible. And certainly fatigue can play into the ability to produce, certainly in a work environment, but also in school environments. So Prodigy is designed to help reduce effort and make information easier to see, read, and understand for users in the environment in which they're using the software. So Prodigy supports 3 core activities. First is to help users see information, be that through magnifying images, documents, and objects, but also through the ability to adjust how those things are presented with varying contrasts or color combinations, lighting, enlargement, and so forth. Second is to help the user to understand the information they're seeing, and a new tool that we added in our previous 2 releases. I see a couple chat messages. Let me check real quickly here. Okay, great. I see individual with limited. Okay, great. Is to help users understand information. And we've added some functionality to help expedite that process, if you will, where we have implemented AI or artificial intelligence to ask questions about what is being looked at through a document camera, or under the magnifier, or in the distance, or in a book file that they may have open, or a digital file that's been opened up. And we're seeing this as a means, not an answer to everything, but a means to reduce fatigue, as well as expedite effort, and certainly to prioritize where effort is applied when understanding information. And then, of course, last is to read information by converting it from print material into digital material with text-to-speech that's available for the user. So again, it's moving from seeing information to reading and understanding the information. And I do think that you'll see, as I demonstrate in a few moments, that that process we think is being altered in some ways by the advent of artificial intelligence into the process. Um, so people often use Prodigy to support many everyday tasks. Some are reading tasks, like books, articles, and mail. Others involve documents like forms, reports, or PDFs. And of course, in work and school settings, there's lots of reading or things to be visualized there. And this is where we could be looking at assignments, reviewing policies or manuals and things of that nature. And then, of course, in the everyday world, there are lots of things to be looking at, labels on boxes, reading instructions for how to cook something that's coming out of a can or a box, instructions, looking at bills, and of course, mail would flow across from reading tasks into everyday tasks as well, where again, I think prioritization become very important when we're looking at mail that might be incoming. But the key here is that Prodigy will support many different tasks and different types of information that users need to gain access to and understand. So coming back to a point that I made a few moments ago, we think that with the advent of AI, that we have a shift in the way that we can interact with materials that are maybe looking to view with a magnification system. And we look at this graphic on the screen here from left to right, and the arrows are there, but they're dotted. And I thought about putting double-ended arrows between each one. But certainly we're going to look at magnification first, use your eyesight. Can I see it? Is that enough here? And then use AI for quick understanding. Maybe I need to decide, is this something that I want to go all in on, or do I just need a simple understanding of it? And then OCR and text-to-speech on the far right there. So for full, complete details of what I'm looking at, and that's where OCR and text-to-speech comes in. But I think over time, what we will do is begin to instruct users to place things underneath of a magnifier, determine, does this seem like something that I can just use my eyesight for? Is it going to fatigue me? Is it going to take too much energy? And those sorts of things. And then determine, the fork in the road, where is AI going to be enough? Or is this like something that OCR needs to be utilized with? And we can use AI sometimes to help make that decision point. But also in an educational setting, or really any setting for that matter, artificial intelligence can be used as a pre-reading activity to sort of get a gist of what am I about to read about, to sort of set the table. What do I want to think about? What do I want to pay attention? And of course, we're never positioning AI as the answer to everything or being 100% correct. In training, we would always encourage folks to use AI as a guide by the side, but always to trust and verify the information that's coming back from artificial intelligence. So very quickly, again, trying to make this as quick as possible, sort of this preview setup. But right now, we're selling Prodigy in actually 4 configurations. The one that I've left off of the screen here is a software-only option, but I'll discuss that in just a moment. But you can see 3 different setups that we're selling. One is available only in North America, but at the top of the list, the first bullet point, which is also pictured in the lower left here, is our starter kit. This is where somebody already owns their own Windows device, because presently Prodigy is a Windows-only software, and they already have a document camera that would be software only. The starter kit gives someone the software and a Solo 8 camera, which is the camera we've optimized Prodigy to function with, so that they sort of have the tools they need to get started using their own Windows device. In the center bullet, we have what we call a complete kit. This is the portable solution, where we have a standardized Surface tablet system that includes a keyboard and mouse, but also adds in the Prodigy software and the document camera, the Solo 8 that we've optimized the software for, all with a nice little carry kit. So it becomes very portable and easy to set up in different environments for use. of the software. And then to the right, we have our all-in-one, which I need to update the image at the bottom corner there. And it's also the third bullet on the list here, but this is in North America only presently. This is a 24-inch all-in-one desktop workstation that includes the Solo 8 camera, a keyboard, and a mouse for use of that. And in all of these hardware configurations, we include the Microsoft Adaptive Kit, which is a series of labels, strips, stickers that can be put on to create little handles to pull things open, bumps and dots. So these would be used either in color or for tactile to indicate different keys, different cables, different ports, different buttons, and so forth. So that is included with all of the hardware options. And then again, finally, the software is available as software only if somebody has their own Windows device and their own camera that they want to use. We'll work with almost any connected document camera, but again, we've optimized for the Solo 8 to get the highest level of performance out of that when using it alongside of Prodigy. So that's it for sort of laying the table there. So what we're going to do is check it out now. And in this remainder of this session, what I'm going to provide for you is a basic overview of what Prodigy is. We'll take a look at the new features, which are the next 4 bullets in the list to the left there, which is a Windows interface mode, a new application that's called Apps that allows access to key or identified applications on the Windows operating system that the user may want to have quick access to. I will share a couple more slides with you to show a new customized keyboard that we have that's available for Prodigy, and then what's been updated with our Acapela text-to-speech voices. And of course, again, I will remind everyone that I can take questions throughout the session here as and when you have them. So just go ahead and send them in the chat or the QA function, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I can get my screen switched up here to the Prodigy software. So just give me just a moment here. Yeah, let's get where am I at here? There we go. Sorry about that, folks. Give me just a moment here, trying to get the right screens to shut down. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, let me share this other screen for you. Okay, and if you can raise your hand or just send a quick message that you're now seeing the Prodigy interface with a large icon in the center that says magnifier, if somebody can just chat that. Okay, I will assume that you're seeing it. If you're not seeing what I'm sharing, then just let me know, okay? So in the center of my screen right now, you'll see the main Prodigy interface. It's the default interface of the software. This is what we call the carousel. Across the top is sort of a status bar for my system that I'm working with. And then at the center is an icon for my magnifier. Which is an application that is available to me. And at the bottom are navigation tools for within my carousel with left and right arrows that will navigate me or scroll left and right through my carousel. And in the center, it's telling me that I'm on page 1 of 6 of the available items that I can look at here. So if I tap the lower right corner, it will navigate me to the right through my carousel to the next application, which I see as my AI assistant. I'll tap that arrow in the lower right corner again, and I'll move to books, and then I'll tap it again and move to files. And I should note that all of this is available through my keyboard. So once I have the focus there, I can use my tab, my arrow keys to get there and tap enter, which I'll do now. And now I see my settings application. And if my PC were to have a touch-enabled screen, I could use my hands to tap and swipe and pinch and zoom and use gestures on the screen as well. But for right now, because my PC does not have a touchscreen, I'm using my mouse. So it's sort of fully accessible to the means that I'm using for access. Let me tap one more time on that lower right corner so you can see the last available icon, which is help. This will take you out to our website where we have all of the user guides, the quick start manual, all of the different documents that you can use for support, as well as access to our YouTube videos and to provide feedback to us on the software. So that is available immediately within the carousel. However, let me go back to the bottom left corner, navigate back one, and let's take a quick look at settings that are available to customize the interface for someone with low vision. And so I'm primarily going to focus on the user interface and sound settings for today's presentation, and I won't cover all of them, but I will cover some highlights there. So within the user interface here, I'll click there. This will open up a number of different options that are available to me for my user interface to be modified. The first is the interface itself. Top of the list, located inside of a red bounding box. That's my locator color right now. Then there's system language, color combinations, and locator color, which is the next on the list there. So let's quickly just take a look at our interface options. I'll open that up, and this has been changed with version 1.6 to add a couple of items to it. And the first is on that list of interface options is my carousel. As you saw a moment ago, when I was navigating through my interface, there was one icon on the screen at a time. Now, if there is more available vision, we can modify that. I'll open this up here to have 2 icons on the screen at a time or 4 icons on the screen at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and change to 4 icons. And when I exit out, you will see in my carousel the change that has taken effect there. You'll notice to the right, a check mark has appeared. So now I know that I will be showing 4 icons there. And in the upper left is a back arrow that will return me to my interface option. Next in my list there, and I just use my arrow key on my keyboard to navigate down, applications. I can control some of the applications that will appear in my carousel. So if I don't need all of them or don't want access to all of them, I can simplify or add as many as I want. And presently we have 4 applications that can be turned on and turned off. As you can see in the list here, my locator is on AI Assistant, bounded in red right now. And to the right is a check mark. There's the check mark next to AI Assistant and the second item, books. Those are both on by default when you install the application. And then beneath those are 2 applications. One is called Distance. That's a separate application that you can turn on for use with distance if you have a second camera to use for distance viewing. And then the last is a new application that we've added with version 1.6. So I'm going to click on that and add that to my carousel right now so that we can take a look at it in a few moments. So again, you can turn on and off anything by clicking onto it. The check mark indicates whether it will be on or off in your carousel. In the upper left corner is my back arrow. So I can back out to my interface options again. And here is the third option for my interface that I can alter. You hopefully have noticed by now, or if you've used Prodigy before, that it has overtaken the entirety of my desktop viewing area. So at the bottom, you don't see your Windows taskbar, and you don't see any sort of normal, typical Windows controller mode. And this is something that folks have enjoyed about Prodigy in the past. For those that have been around for a while, Prodigy started off as an Android application, and we have most recently, within the last 18 months, converted it to a Windows application. And folks actually really liked this full screen sort of kiosk mode for Prodigy in the past when it was in an Android environment. But when we've gotten to Windows, it became quickly apparent that because it's so much more of a productivity platform that's used in work environments or in general spaces, that folks wanted to potentially have a mode where they could use it more like a typical Windows application. And this is where we've added a new mode that you can just click on here and it will toggle between this full screen mode and a Windows mode. And you'll see that the interface has refreshed itself now. And in the upper right, now are a series of controllers that are typical to what you would see in the Windows interface. In the far upper right is X. This will close out the current application that I'm working on. To the center of it is my resize window, which if I tap on it, you will see that my window will resize itself, and now it can be either resized by going to the edges and clicking and drawing it out, but it can also be relocated using, to the far left of that upper right corner of options, a four-sided arrow that allows me to drag and drop the window. And you can't see 100%, but I have three monitors going. I'm taking it off to another monitor right now, and I see what was beneath it, which actually the magnifier app is running underneath of it right now. And then there's actually a minimize option there as well. So I can just minimize this to my taskbar and come back to it later. So if I go back to the square and click on it, it will again resume full size on the screen. And I am in Windows mode right now, so I see my full taskbar at the bottom down here, so I can go and open any of my Windows taskbar. So you may be wondering sort of why did we just create this little window here? A lot of Windows applications allow you to click anywhere in the header and drag it around. We have different size fonts and interface options that we need to utilize. So we've decided to go with the four-sided arrow that you click and use to drag your window around in the interface. Okay. And I'm going to show you more about this Windows mode in a few moments, but I'll leave it running for right now, and you can see it there in the upper right, and I'll explain more again why we went with this sort of set of icons that are bounded by that gray area there. So that's the Windows mode now is turned on. That is new in version 1.6 for those of you that have used the software previously. So those are your interface options. You also have the ability to adjust your system language, which I'll click there. Again, when I exit out of my demonstration in a few moments, I'll go through sort of the new language options and voices that are available to you. But Tamara here is a new US English voice that I've installed. And then down here is English Great Britain is Callum, a new English voice there. But you can change any of these that you would like, and you can have up to 4 installed at any time. So you see that I have 3 English voices and a French voice right now. And if I come down to Tamara, bounded by that red box again, you see the check mark to the right. That means that she is the selected voice right now that will read for me. The top on the list is Melanie. That's a Canadian French voice. Also new with this version 1.6 update is this Melanie character. But if I select this, you will see not only is that now my voice that will voice over my system, but in the header there, we've changed the language in the header. Basically, what this means is that anywhere I navigate, and I'll hit the upper left back button, you'll see that it is modified the interface language that I see in all of these areas here now to be in French. And if it was to be turned on to read aloud, all of these would be read back in French now. I believe most on the call today are English speakers, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back to Tamara. You'll see my Swiss system switch back to English here, and Tamara will read anything that I want aloud. But to the right is a nav bar. If I drag down or navigate down, you'll see that I can go in and configure. And again, I have 4 voices selected right now, so I would have to uninstall one, but you can see a list of languages that I have to choose from: English, Czech, Danish, Dutch, Faroese, Finnish, and so forth. And there are a variety of voices within each of those languages that you can choose from. So I'm not going to add or remove any voices right now. We're just going to stay in English for our presentation. So in the upper left, I'll tap that back arrow and exit out. Back to my interface options. Recall in our carousel, we were in full color. All of the icons appear in different colors as we went through. And all of my text right now is appearing in a black on white background. This may or may not be good based upon the user's visual condition. So I can click there and select from about 20 odd different color combinations. Most frequently switched to is white and black. So there's an example of white on black. Check mark again with the red bounding box indicating my selection there. So we'll just leave it in white on black for the duration of my presentation here. But there are, again, a multitude of options to choose from through the list there that I just scrolled through all the way on to black on red and white on black combinations. In the upper left, I'll back out of my color combinations. We'll come down quickly to one more, and then I'll just discuss the others, and we will move on to the demonstration. Locator color, as you've seen around everything that I've selected, this red box has shown up. That is my locator color. And when I open it up, I see it's bounded in red with a check mark. About 14 color combinations, I think, to choose from here. I'm going to go to the top of the list and choose blue, which is my favorite color. Check mark says that's what I've selected. And now whenever I select something, it will show in blue. A couple of other quick items to point out here is mouse pointer can be adjusted. You can see that mine is enlarged from a typical Windows mouse pointer, and I've actually set mine to be blue in my Windows settings. And I can also adjust my screen brightness. And at the bottom is button banner. It's set to auto, which means it will go up and down. I'm going to set this to always, and you'll see the button banner in a few moments, and I'll explain exactly the change that was there in just a moment. So those are some user interface options that are available to set up the system for a user to make it customized to their needs. And then there are audio settings. I'm not going to change the speech rate, which is set to normal, or the sounds, which I think should be coming through right now. You'll hear a little clicking as I go and different sounds as I click and select things. But the one that I did want to point out is the speech right now is set to documents only.
Speech menu, 3 items. Documents only, checked.
So that's Tamara. We have her as our reading voice that you saw a moment ago that was selected. By default, speech is set to off. And that means that
off.
If I select this,
off, checked.
Now it doesn't matter where I go.
On. Documents only.
She is going to shut off when I exit out of here. If I turn her
on, checked.
I'm going to navigate back just so you can see the effect of having speech on.
Audio menu, 3 items. Speech, on, submenu.
Okay.
Speech rate, normal, submenu. Sounds, on.
So basically what this is telling me,
speech, on, submenu.
Speech on, which we haven't had to this point, anything that's visualized to me on the screen in our menus and so forth will be read aloud with auditory feedback so I know what I'm navigating to when speech is turned on.
Speech menu, 3 items. On, checked.
It will also read any documents at that point. So basically everything is available to be read. For the duration of our demonstration today, I'm going to set to documents only so that I'm not talking over Tamara through the remainder.
Documents only, checked.
Okay, so we'll navigate out. So those are some audio settings. So those are really the settings that you would want to interface with immediately when you're getting started with Prodigi. And it's always good to sort of highlight those up front. So notice my interface. I'm back in my carousel now. I tap that back button in the upper left, and my carousel now has more icons on the screen at one time. I see my blue locator around settings, which is what we just exited out of. And my entire interface now is being presented in a black background with white as the contrasting color against it. And I'll tap the lower right corner to navigate forward. You'll notice my numbers at the bottom are now 2 of 2. Because we're showing 4 icons at a time maximum on a screen, we have less pages that we navigate through on our carousel. So here you see the main screen in the carousel now has 4 icons with magnifier, AI assistant, books, and apps. I'm going to quickly highlight a couple of these for you. So here I've turned on my magnifier, and you can see that it is turned on. And in the upper right, there's those Windows controls. And this is where I wanted to point out, this is why we did them the way that we did with just a background behind them and just in the upper right corners, because if we were to have a header across this entire page right now, it would take up a lot of the screen real estate where you're visualizing the page that you're working on to. So this is why we chose to have a 4-sided arrow as that 4th icon there that you can use to click and drag this window around. Let's say that you get working with the software and you don't want to have this screen real estate taken up and you don't need to see your taskbar right now. Rather than going to settings, one of the features of the Windows interface mode is that you can use the key shortcut alternate W, which will take you out of the Windows mode, and you'll see that my screen just refreshed itself. Those items are gone from this screen, and I'm left with just my magnifier. My taskbar is gone and so forth. So again, just to show you, this is Alt-W key shortcut. And now those tools are back and my taskbar is available to me again. And I'll Alt W one more time so you have the full screen. At the bottom of the screen, you can see that in the magnifier, a toolbar presents. You may remember a few moments ago when I was in interface options, the default was set to auto, and I set it to be always. And basically what this means is that this toolbar will persist at all times now. And for a demonstration, I like to have it there all the time so that you can see all the tools that are available. In an auto mode, it means after a few seconds, it would sync to the bottom with a tab in the middle that you would click on to bring it back up. So it would go up and down after a few moments to give you the full view of your screen. But in demos, I like to keep it on so you can see all the tools that are available. So the toolbar is very simple down in the bottom right there. There is a plus sign in the far right that allows me to zoom in and zoom out. So the plus zooms in, the minus zooms out. I could do this with a pinch and squeeze gesture or pinch and expand gesture on a touch screen. I can use the wheel on a mouse to zoom in and zoom out. The third button from the bottom right corner is a rotate button. This will rotate my view 180 degrees if I need to. The fourth button is a capture button. We'll come back to that in just a moment. I want to highlight quickly the button next to it, which is a little call out. It has 3 stars inside. That is the AI assistant. It's available in my live magnification view. And then anywhere that you see a gear wheel in Prodigy, and I'll click it now, this is going to open up available settings to you in whatever application you are in. So you can see I have OCR disabled right now. So again, that gear wheel, anywhere that you see this in Prodigy, it is going to allow you to adjust the settings in whatever application you're in or whatever interface you're in. So very quickly, I've put a document under here. I've specifically chosen one that would be a very difficult layout for you. So for those of you that have used optical character recognition before, you can see that this would be probably very difficult text to access with OCR. It's not really good with uncommon fonts like you see in the upper left there. This is actually 2 pages of a very large book. It's about a 24 by 14-inch book. Both pages are viewable underneath of my Solo 8 camera here. But what I wanted to highlight here is one of the beauties of AI is it can be very helpful in orientating or allowing a user to ask specific details about what they're looking. So I'll click on this. It's going to ask me, what do I want to do? So I can type in here, what is this page about? And to the right, there's a submit button. And I am going to be prompted here to ask about this. We're going to send a picture of this to our cloud services. They're secure. We save nothing to it, but it interfaces with our AI model and sends a response back to you. And anything that you send to the cloud and we send back, ultimately, if you decide to save it, gets saved on your system and nothing is saved in the cloud. So that's one of the ways that we maintain security. We're not sharing anything with the outside world. Underneath of that is yes is set as default. This means we won't ask this question anymore, but we do this to make sure that you understand what you're doing. Details at the bottom is a longer description of what I just vocalized just a moment ago. And if you choose no, it's just going to cancel the question. It means you're not allowing this picture to be shared. But let's go ahead and say yes for now and send that question off to the cloud very quickly. Now, the first question sometimes takes a little longer because the image is being processed in the cloud services. And now it's captured what it sees on the page. And I can click the read button, which the toolbar you'll notice has readjusted itself. There's still a plus and minus to zoom in and zoom out. But now there's a triangle pointing to the right that I can click on.
The page appears to be an informative illustration related to piracy, specifically focusing on the history and customs of pirates in the Caribbean around the early 18th century.
So that's, pretty good description of what's there. It goes on with a lot of reading here. Reading can start and stop with about a 1-second click. So if I were to click on the word date here for about a second and let go.
Date and location, the top of the...
And then press and hold for a second with my mouse again, or tap with it on a screen, it will pause it again. So there's multiple ways to get the reading to start and stop there. We also have key shortcuts for those. In the bottom left, there's a double-sided arrow that points to the left and to the right. If I tap that, what I can see is the image that was captured by the magnifier and sent to our cloud services. So I can zoom in and zoom out onto this. And maybe I see down here in the lower left by zooming in and zooming out, I can then hit that double-sided arrow to go back to my AI assistant and ask another question. So I click on the call out in the bottom right toolbar, and here we have a voice input option with a microphone. So let's click on that. Tell me about the three pirates in the lower left corner. Okay, well, let's see how it does. I said pilots and pirates there. We'll send that. So this tool can be really helpful to a user to get them to understand what they're looking at, to dig deeply into different things they see on the page. So here's the first pirate.
Barbary Corsair. This depiction represents pirates from the North African coast.
So you can see a lot of information here, and it's got the Caribbean pirate and Chinese pirate and so forth. So AI can be really helpful in terms of setting the table for what's going to be read. For something that's really difficult to read like this, it could be very helpful in understanding what's being looked at. Think about younger students. This is the types of books they want to be interacting with. It can be very difficult in a school environment. So when I go to exit, it's going to say, do you want to save your chat? I'm going to say yes. And so now we're back to a live view of the document again, which I'll just set quickly underneath it here, another document, just so you can see. This is something that I'm placing there now. It's that might be a little bit more friendly and more textbook orientated or so forth. That might be something that would be more friendly to optical character recognition, which I could capture this and save it with OCR. So I'm not going to demonstrate that because I'm going to run up on time here, but if I were to exit out of that, I did save that chat, which will save the image of the page as well as anything that I've asked about it. So I wanted to quickly highlight in my carousel here to the right is an application called Files, which I can open up. And here are the four icons on the screen, same size as my application icons. But in the upper right, here is the image that we just captured and saved a moment ago. And we automatically named it image when we saved it. I can right click onto it and rename it. So let's just rename that Pirates very quickly. And in the upper right, anytime you see this arrow symbol in the upper right, that's a submit or enter button. And now my document is renamed Pirates there. So we can open it, zoom in and zoom out onto it, continue working with it. If I were to click on the bottom right AI tool, I can continue to ask questions about it. So if I say yes, set as default, we're not going to be asked that question anymore. But now you can see here's my history of my chat, but I can continue to ask questions about this and continue to interface with this file that I've saved. We can save other information as well. So for example, there's a document here that I saved that's called Note. I'll open that up. And here we see handwriting. So this is where, again, where AI can be helpful. I open my AI assistant. You can see this notice sign. So I'll just say, tell me what this note says. And I'll submit that. Notice it says terrific phone app to there. So here it's going to read it. Thank you for the terrific phone app. I can have all of this read aloud again.
Dear Roger, thank you for the terrific phone app.
So it's reading app, okay, and so forth. So, and I wanted to point out this word apt here. You might think, oh, it misrecognized that. But if I go back to the actual image here, you'll see that Mrs. Jepsky actually wrote apt in there. So she meant to say phone app and she said apt. So very accurate. So like handwriting is something that OCR is not good with, but for an adult that's receiving mail, this could be really helpful for greeting cards or mail that they receive in the mail. So I see that I'm running on time here. So I'm going to come back out and show you a new tool that's here that we've added with version 1.6, and that is called apps. So right now, again, I don't have my Windows interface mode on, and maybe we don't want to have that, but we want to have quick access to apps. So again, Alt-W shows me my Windows interface mode. I can get to my taskbar, but there's often apps that won't appear in your taskbar that you might want to get to quickly, or maybe you want that full screen environment that I've just gone back to. Apps allows you to have this. So I can open this up and go and find an app. So let's search in here for, let's say, Word. And here's my Microsoft Word. I can click on this and I can either launch it, which would open it up, or I can pin it. So let me launch it first so you can see what happens when I launch Microsoft Word here. And I must have had it open on a separate screen previously. If I was on a single monitor, it would have come down here. So there we go. It's wanting to open on a separate monitor here. Let me bring it down so you can see it. So it's gone ahead and opened up Microsoft Word for me on a separate screen. So you see I'm in my Windows mode. Here's my Microsoft Word document that I can work with. So if I minimize that, that's what launch would do. But I can also pin it. So I just pinned it and I see a check mark. And let's say I'll just choose one other. I'll choose Outlook. We'll pin that as well. That's my email. See a check next to that. And if I tap my back arrow, now you'll see that my screen is updated with Word and Outlook for quick access from my apps application. But I can still find and add or launch apps as well. So tap that back arrow on the upper left. Again, apps now. I don't have my Windows mode on. Quick access by clicking there and saying, take me to Word. Click on that. It's going to open up a new instance of Word and let me get going with a new Word document when I open it up directly from that apps application. So again, to increase productivity within the Windows environment, we've added this apps application for users to utilize. Okay. I'm going to run out of time, but we also have a couple of other applications that you might look at. I'll just briefly open them up. We have an AI assistant. This is a pure question answer that you can use to ask questions of our AI service. Again, nothing is saved in the cloud, but it will allow you to save a history of what you've asked about. And again, you can see enchiladas, poutine, obviously I get hungry whenever I'm presenting this. So those are what those chats are about. Those are historical chats. So you can either go to your chat history or start a new chat altogether and just ask questions. So again, that's when visual is not necessary. And we have a books application here that allows you to bring in books from sources like Project Gutenberg, where you can go and search the available books there, download them, and read books that are available from different sources. I'll quickly open Manage Libraries. Here you see Bookshare in the list there. We have a number of book providers that we interface with globally. I'm just quickly scrolling through the list there. I know it's quick, but those are available to you to sign up for and utilize as well. So I'm going to now come back to my PowerPoint slideshow. And I'm going to switch my share to another screen and share for you that screen two. Okay, share that. Okay, and we should be back to my PowerPoint now. 2 quick slides as we wrap up, and I'll take any questions that you have. First is the new keyboard. We have a new Windows keyboard. This is customized for use with Prodigy for Windows. So the F1 keys, or F keys, excuse me, across the top of the keyboard will access functions within Prodigy. So F1 will take you to settings. F2 will open the AI assistant. F3 magnifier, F4 distance application, which I didn't demonstrate today. F5 will take you to books, which I just showed. F6 for files. And then F7, F8, and F9 will control your reading with back, play, pause, and forward in reading. So all of those are custom keys for use within Prodigy, as well as other keyboard shortcuts that are in general available. So it functions just like a Windows keyboard elsewise when you're using it with other applications. So this is now newly available to you. And then we've also updated to version 14 of the Acapela languages that we utilize and voices. And basically, they have begun using AI to generate voices more quickly to increase pronunciation, smooth pacing, and increase prosody of the voices. So Tamara there is an AI created voice. It's allowed them to expand their catalog of voices very quickly. And we've also added 10 additional personalities or voices to the system. 4 in English, with Sharon and Tamira being US English. Callum and Rona for UK. We've added a new French voice, Julie, a Norwegian, Bente, Polish, Goisha, and then two Portuguese, one Brazil, Sergio, and one Portuguese, Rui, and then Turkish, IPEC, we added there. So the other optimization to those is to take up less resources when they're running on your system. So those were all added with this release as well. If you haven't already tried Prodigy, I'll leave this on the screen for just a moment. You can scan this QR code and have a trial download sent to you. So please take advantage of that. And I will take any questions that anybody has right now through the chat, or you can come off of mute. And I'll quickly launch a poll for you to close out our session here. So again, any questions that you might have, there's an open poll. Question 1 is, was today's presentation useful to you? And question 2 is open-ended. You can share any thoughts that you might have about what was presented today. So if you would take advantage of that poll and scan that QR code if you want to get a trial of the software, or you can just visit our website to do so. I want to thank everybody for attending today. Please let me know what you thought of today and complete that poll. And if you are satisfied or done with the session, you can go ahead and log out at any given time now. Thank you. I'll give it like one more minute and then we will close out the QR code and close out our session. Thank you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them through to me. All right, I'm going to end the poll now, and it looks like we don't have any questions. So again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.